Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. So in today's video we're going to be creating this card. Now this card is part of the Suicide Prevention Week. So I'm going to link some websites and phone lines for the UK that you can contact if you're struggling. Please do not suffer in silence, because take it from me, that is never going to help the situation, and if anything, just talking to a stranger might help you find a little bit of hope, because there is always something else in the world that you could be doing and making a difference. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about my story and my experience with depression, suicidal thoughts, and all of that. So this video might trigger some people, so if that's the case and you know that you're going to be triggered, please just mute the video and you can listen and watch the film of me coloring the scene. So I was bullied at a very early age, and I actually got diagnosed with depression at the age of 10, which is a very early age to be diagnosed with something so severe. But basically I was being sexually abused at the age between 7 and 13 by 3 people in my family, and basically I didn't necessarily know what was happening was wrong, I just assumed it was love. And in a way, looking back on it, I think maybe I kind of went looking for it, looking for love in a different place, because obviously my parents split up when I was very young, and that sort of thing. So I do think maybe that I gave them the wrong indication, but at the end of the day, what they were doing was still way wrong. But anyways, I kept it secret until I was 13, because obviously at the age I didn't know it was wrong, and they just told me to keep it a secret, and what you do for family. So when I was 13, we learned about it in school, and I realized what they had done was extremely wrong. But I basically told them, if they tried it again, I would make sure everybody knew about it, and yeah, that way I got left alone anytime family occasions happened, even though it was slightly awkward. But I got bullied from such an early age, but realistically I didn't know I was being bullied until I was about 11 years old. So I was physically, emotionally, and verbally bullied, and I went through all 3 stages of bullying. So it was verbal bullying, which was name calling, physical bullying, which was being beaten up daily, and then also cyberbullying, which was probably the worst part, because normally if it's just physical or emotional, you can go home and you can get away from it. But when it's cyberbullying as well, it's very hard to escape and find peace in your mind. So I will link a video that I've been watching anytime I start to feel a little bit more depressed than normal, because I think it just really helps, describe how depression can, cause things and what name calling does. And I think it should be played in every school for Bullying Week, in a way to show you that your words have an effect on people, whether you know it or not. So one of the quotes that this video has is, "I will love myself despite the ease where I lean towards the opposite." So getting bullied every day, I started to hate certain aspects of myself, and then overall hate everything about me. And with that comes the suicidal thoughts, because I couldn't get away from what was being said every day. And I felt like I couldn't talk to my family about it because of everything that had already happened. And I basically was that type of person that would not want to burden my parents with certain things if they were already dealing with something, which was most of the time was dealing with my brother and his outrageous behavior. So my brother went through, medical issues, which were self-inflicted, and then he became a rebellious child. And sometimes I think maybe it's because my parents split so early. He was 5 when they split up, I was 3, so I wasn't necessarily aware of what was happening, but my brother did have some small indication of what was going on, and I think he kind of blamed me for it. So I think that's where the resentment came from between me and my brother. And obviously as I got older it got worse and we drifted further and further apart. But when I was 17, I went through, a year of school where I just didn't want to be there and I didn't want to be alive. And I still remember the day, like right now, that I wanted to end my life. And I knew that if I'd spoke to somebody about it, I wouldn't, be able to take my choice into my own hands. So what my plan was is I wrote a suicide note explaining everything that had happened from the age of when I was being abused, and then all the bullying and stuff that had happened up to the point of just not wanting to be here. And I was in my second to last lesson at school, which was PE, and every girl in the gym had basically ganged up on me and just started throwing abuse at me. So I walked away because I couldn't afford to get into any more trouble because I was on the report card and stuff, which was like a monitor for my behavior. And long story short, I gave my friend the note and I told her to give it in on the Monday if I didn't come in for some reason. And realistically, that's where I probably went wrong, because obviously my friend had opened the note after that lesson and handed it in to a teacher, because my last lesson was IT, which is computers. Now I'd finished all my work and stuff, and I basically contacted, an online help group, but I didn't get any response because obviously it was peak time, so it was like a 30-minute wait to contact somebody. So I started Googling like the least painful ways of dying or ending your own life, and basically my teacher came in and took me out of my lesson and asked me the questions about the note and told me that I needed to talk to my parents about it when I got home, and that they'd be ringing them on that Monday to see if I had actually spoken to them about it over the weekend. Now, I don't actually remember talking to them about it, so I think my school actually rang them. But I didn't end my life, obviously. But I did go to a bridge where it used to be a train station, like a train track bridge. And I remember standing and sitting on the ledge. And I think it was like 9:30 at night, so it was pitch black with just the occasional light in the background from the street. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Ending my life isn't gonna solve the pain, because that pain is just gonna be passed on to somebody else, and that would be my fault. So basically, if I ended my life, the pain that I was struggling with would be passed down to my parents, my friends and stuff like that, and I would be the reason that they might turn it into basically where my mindset was. So I didn't want to do it, didn't end up doing it, but I do sometimes struggle with those thoughts again. I think it just depends, honestly, if I bottle my emotions up, which I still do to this day. It's just something that's stuck with me since I was a child, and I just don't know how to get out of it. But basically, when I was 21, I went through a constant up and down with my emotions and my mindset and stuff. So I went to my GP about it, and they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. So it kind of helped explain like why my mind was going up and down. Like for a couple of days or a week or a month, I would be, joyless, happy, enjoying everything about my life. And then a couple of days later, I could be like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. And it was just like really conflicting and like confusing for everybody, including myself, because I didn't know why it was happening. So to get diagnosed and have some form of like relief knowing that there was something wrong and it wasn't necessarily just me helped a lot. So I got in contact with Good Samaritans, which is an anonymous group where you can stay anonymous. You don't have to give them your name. And you just email them with what's going on and what you need help with, and then you'll get a message back and you can talk to them. So that helped a lot. But I mean, right now, I think my last like suicidal thought was actually on my birthday this year, because with being bullied at school every day, I obviously didn't get a chance to end my life because obviously with school finding out, my parents finding out, it was kind of like I was monitored, which didn't make things easier. But I went through the phase of like wanting to end it, but never fully wanting to do it. I feel like I needed to do it rather than wanting to do it, and that's where things like got difficult. But I don't know, it's hard to explain like what my mindset really is at the moment, but having crafting and card making right now has been helping me so much with my anxiety, my depression, everything. So finding something that you feel comfortable doing and enjoy doing will help with your mind, and also talking to people, even if it's a stranger, just might give you some form of relief. So another thing that I like to do when I'm suffering with an overactive mind is I tend to listen to the sound of rainfall, because that can help calm my mind. Other people can listen to like waves crashing on the beach. I think it is personally your own like personal preference. You need to find something that works for you, because something that works for somebody else that's going through this might not work for you, and it might cause more issues, which is again something that I found out later on. So I found out one of my friends was on medications for her depression, and she was on this stronger dose and sleeping pills and stuff. And I remember stealing her medication to try and help me get through my day. And I remember ending up in hospital with a collapsing lung, because obviously the medication was fighting my immune system, because obviously it wasn't programmed and made for me. So it kind of helped me, understand like never take somebody else's medication. Make sure you go and get your own, or talk to your GP about it. But the video that I like to listen to really does help, and he interprets it as somebody who deals with depression is somebody like walking a tightrope, because no matter what we do, we are always having that little voice in the back of our head trying to make us feel worse than we are. And one thing that does annoy me is people that don't suffer with depression and want to suffer with it. It's like, keep your sanity while you still can, because honestly, it's so tiring trying to fight yourself, especially like with me, I have depression and anxiety. So what that feels like is 1 minute I can be my worst enemy, and then the next minute I am trying to fight myself to keep going. And it can be the most tiring thing, and I get emotional burnout so much. But like I said, finding things that help you, just like coloring in, it's very therapeutic. Some people find, listening to music therapeutic. It just is finding something that works for you. So I have another quote, if I can find it. Like, I know it's in my phone somewhere. But I have so many things that, I remind myself of on a daily basis to keep myself going, because obviously it's a big difference. So, also self-diagnosing, please do not do that. So, keeping a lot of myself because it's hard to find someone who understands. That's one of my quotes. And then I have this one, which it's kind of sad, but you might understand it. It's, I have been waiting for death all my life. I do not mean that I actively wish to die, just that I don't necessarily really want to live. So that's something that I have. And then the sun stopped shining for me is all. The whole story is I'm sad. I am sad all the time, and sadness is so heavy that I can't get away from it. So that's another one I like to keep with me. So, I don't know if I'd ever, get a quote or whatnot, but a human being can survive almost anything as long as they see the end in sight, but depression is so insidious that it compounds daily that it's impossible to ever see the end. And mental pain is less dramatic than it is physical pain because it's more common and also more harder to bear. The frequent attempts to conquer the mental health increases the burden, and it's easier to say that my tooth is aching than to say my heart is breaking. So as you can see, there are so many, quotes. Having anxiety and depression is being scared and tired at the same time. It's the fear of failure but not wanting to argue to be productive. It's wanting friends but hating to socialize, wanting to be alone but not wanting to be lonely. It's caring about everything and not caring about anything. It's feeling everything at once but being paralyzingly numb. That was one of the main things. Depression is what and when you really don't care about anything. Anxiety is when you care about too much, and having both can be the hardest thing to overcome. So, like I said, I will link the video below for you guys so you can go and check it out. And I hope it does help you, if you ever struggled with depression. And if you have or you still are, I hope you can find some beauty in yourself, because there is something in you deep down that's making you want to keep fighting despite every time you've wanted to end it. And that's something that I realized, the amount of times that I thought about ending my life and then looking at it and I'm like, what is it that's keeping me fighting? Why do I keep not wanting to end my life? And what it is now that's keeping me fighting is that I have my mom, she needs me more than ever. I have my nephew that I don't see at the moment, but when he gets to a certain age, I want to be there for him to explain why I wasn't there in the beginning. So there are things that are in my life that I don't want to end my life for because I want to fight for them, and finding those things that will help. But sometimes putting pressure on yourself can actually make you feel more of a burden to yourself. So please do not overthink it, which is, I know, easier said than done. But overall, you will find certain things and certain remedies that will help you. And you're not alone. There are so many people that suffer with this. It's the most common thing that everybody has. It's a bit like COVID. It spread like wildfire. But they found a cure. So hopefully you can find something in yourself or around in your surroundings that will keep you from ending your own personal being. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do know that this Suicide Prevention Week is not necessarily something a lot of people will acknowledge. So I am going to make sure this time that I do a fundraising on my Facebook to help with the hotlines and stuff, because, I know how helpful they can be in a moment of madness. And like I said, sometimes talking to a total stranger can help with your depression, because you don't feel like you're burdening those surrounding you because this person has never met you. And also they're very less to be judgmental because they don't physically know you. So I think that helps in the long run as well. But like I said, I'm going to link the video below. I'm also going to link some helplines that you can contact for the UK. I don't know if anybody else from any other countries are going to be doing a video or not, but if they are, then I hope they link them. And the reason I did the scene that I created in this card is because for me, being in nature and just listening to music is another thing that helps me, bring me back to my center and just help me feel calm and understanding. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys go and head over to the next video, which will be linked in my description for you. And if it helps, come back and let me know it helped you, because I would love to know. Because I do find that certain people, when they watch that video, don't understand it. And I think the people that don't understand it are because they've never been through it. So a lot of people that watch this probably will understand it and find some common resonations with it. so you'll find things that you will understand more than others, and you'll find things that you didn't think of in a certain light. But I do hope you guys stay safe, find some help if you need it, and don't be scared to ask for the help, which is something I did. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. I do believe it's going to be another video for the suicide prevention, but I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do yet, so we'll see when it comes to it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned a little bit more about me. And I want to say thank you if you made it all the way through the video. And I will be gifting this card to somebody that needs it more than me.